What's up, everyone? From WKNC. My name is Grant Eubanks, and I'm here with Franco Varga. He is a professional wrestler. It's amazing to have you here.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, American Lucha Wrestling on Saturday, and then first time ever on Sunday. First time ever number 2. So on Sunday, and they can all go to the same building, the Lucha Dome, which is 2141 North Church Street in Burlington. Yeah, I kind of memorized the address because we've been doing so much press for this 2-day event. So yeah, I just did an interview in Spanish for it as well. So
wow, okay,
it's been all over. Yeah, so we've been all over the place with this thing. A lot of people this month alone have asked me, man, why are you? These are some huge matches. Why are you doing them in Burlington of all places? And it's just, I've wrestled in 6 different countries. I've been known like all over the world and stuff. And with COVID, my family lives here. And with COVID, I just kind of wanted to just kind of reassess my goals and stuff. And one of those goals is to make Burlington a hot commodity in the pro wrestling world, So why Burlington? American Lucha Wrestling has been there for a couple of years now. They just have some of the best management. It's this good-hearted guys. That's kind of hard to find in any entertainment aspects. Hollywood, pro wrestling. I don't know, even figure skating, probably, right?
Yeah.
So so it's kind of hard to find. Jason and Lanier, the guys who own American Lucha Wrestling. It's just kind of hard to find a combination of guys that are just so good to everybody, to everyone they bring in. And, they treated me and, with, just like a star the second I came through. And I know I'm a star to them and all that. And a lot of people tell me I'm way too humble for the things I've accomplished and all that. But I'm just a guy trying not to look stupid in spandex like the rest of us, So that's what I always say. So yeah, no, we're just, a lot. I do a lot for like Make-A-Wish and things like that. But as of recent, those are my goals: is just Make-A-Wish and making American Lucha Wrestling in Burlington, a big hot commodity in the wrestling world.
It's good to see you trying to put somewhere like Burlington on the map. I know that there are a lot of great local, just communities in general and institutions, and it's good to see that you're using your career and your aspirations to sort of bring them up with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people are worried because I just announced I'm going back to Japan in July and I'm going back to the UK in September. But I'm not going to forget about Burlington ever. Burlington's, it's definitely more than a project for me.
So I sort of wanted to start from the beginning then, because I know that a
Sure.
lot of people, either if it's wrestling as an industry or martial arts in general or defense, start sort of in the military area. And I saw that you were pretty similar. What branch did you start in? Because I know you're a veteran.
Yeah, no, the Air Force.
A
lot of people call it the Chair Force and all that, but no, I enjoyed my time in the Air Force. It was awesome. Yeah, I still talk to the guys I went overseas with to this day. So yeah, it's definitely a brotherhood. But
I've known a couple of BJJ like professors and black belts that start out in the Air Force too. It seems like that's sort of where that community is. And so from then on, I wondered, because in looking up how you sort of got to this point, there was sort of a gap between military and suddenly you're being mentored by WWE people, right?
Yeah, so there's a little school, tiny little school. It's called Wyoming, and they're in the state of Wyoming. So I grew up in Harlem, New York City. So they're like, hey, you got the scholarship? And I'm like, what? I got a scholarship for football? And they're like, yeah. And then I look it up, and I had to get a map because I was like, Wyoming, where the hell is that? Is that like near Seattle? Like, no, it's near Nebraska, near the middle of nowhere. So yeah. I go out there. I remember like it's yesterday, June 7th, and it's snowing outside. And I called my mom and my dad. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if school for free is worth it anymore. But no, that's what I did in that little gap, was just a tiny bit of football. I didn't, I never really had the heart in it as far as like I want to be in the NFL. I never, it was kind of more like a means to an end for me. I wanted to do, I wanted to just get school for free. That's all I really wanted.
I mean, yeah,
I didn't want to be in debt. So my heart wasn't in football like it is in wrestling, but I just didn't want to be in debt to go to school. So that was my way.
Did you find
that in the military?
Oh yeah. Did you find that your heart was in wrestling once you got to school?
Almost immediately. Yeah. Just, the story, it's just, mine's not the normal. Like I stopped watching right when, like a lot of people, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, and The Rock, and Chris Jericho, and all those guys left around the same time. That's kind of when I stopped watching. Like a lot of people my age, your age too, and basically, I just kind of fell out of touch with it. And a buddy of mine from college was just like, "Hey, I want to go to this tryout thing. I want to go, with someone who's kind of buff and all that." So I was like, "Tryout WWE stuff?" And he's like, "Not necessarily. It's independent wrestling." And with a quick Google search, I was now an expert in independent wrestling. But no, I Googled it real quick. I was like, "Oh, this is like in bars and National Guard armories and stuff. It's not as glamorous, but it's got to be like the D leagues to, And no, it's a world in its own right, So I went to the tryout and it was awkward because no one but myself got picked out of 14 guys,
Wow.
And yeah, it was a super awkward car ride back together because we drove down together. So it was super awkward. And he's like, "You're going to go?" And I'm like, "I think I'm going to go." And I went. And 9 years later, I'm still doing this crazy stuff. So yeah.
Sorry, what was the tryout for again?
It was for a small company named New Era in Colorado.
Okay.
So the trainer, Tony, was a less stature guy. So Tony had did some stuff with like Ring of Honor, like just some extra work and stuff like that. But he's very credible. One of those guys that just should have been bigger than he was,
Yeah.
But yeah, it was for that. And then that kind of opened the doors to me actually wrestling in front of like Gerald Briscoe and guys like that actually opened way more doors. So yeah, that's kind of where I started. Terry Funk down in Texas. Funny story. I had no idea. I was standing next to the guy for like half an hour before I figured out who he was. So yeah. So I have I've done a lot of dumb stuff early on, but like stuff like that where I was just like, man, this old guy really knows his stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's Terry Funk. And I'm like, oh, that's Terry Funk. So yeah, no, I was just I was a dummy, like a lot of us when we're first starting out, we're just young and dumb.
I understand. Why do you think they chose you, and what do you think that they saw in you?
The first couple of years of my career, there was like a little bit of everybody called me like the standout kid or whatever. But like I've always been 110% in anything I'm doing until I'm not doing it anymore. So I was always first one in the building, last one to leave. You could tell me I'm the greatest thing. I'm just gonna find some kind of witty way to say I'm not. It's just who I am. You know what I mean? I could be the WWE champion tomorrow, and I'm just gonna be like, yeah. So, what else is new? It's like it's not that I don't love it. It's not. It's just I always find a way to ground myself. I've seen a lot of people, lose their way, lose who they are, just by the fame and the actual rush of just being the flavor of the month, you know what I mean?
Right, and it seems like it's definitely as much of an entertainment industry as it is a sport and a physical challenge.
And an art at the same right.
Absolutely, yeah. And I found that the way you were almost talking about the come up process is really similar to more of a starving artist or a musician, just because I'm more familiar with those fields, and that's what a lot of this radio station does. And surrounded by those people, it's the same, sort of mentorship process. But I was wondering, as someone who's seen both sides too, like how is your sports mentorship different than your entertainment mentorship? Because it seem like two different worlds,
Absolutely. I think sports is more, they gotta guide you. They feel like they gotta guide you through the A through Z. So when you don't make it, then at least you didn't make it, but you got through the process. You know what I mean? And the whole like the actual entertainment business, it's very cutthroat. It's more like you figure it out. When you're done figuring it out, you tell me how you figured it out, so I can jump in line in front of you, kind of deal.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
so you're and I've seen this a couple times in my career, is it's you meet your heroes and then you're on the same shows with your heroes and you start to surpass your heroes, and your heroes now become your enemies. You know what I mean? In a not enemy, I guess, but in a sense, they start to compete with you. So as heartbreaking as it can be, you got to remind yourself, like, this is a business and they're not done with it, just like you're not done with it. So you kind of got to keep pressing on. And everybody wants to be the main event. Everybody wants to be the Undertaker, you know? But in our business, we all can't. It'd be a 20-hour show, you know? Right. So yeah, we can't all be up there. And I, you know, as much as I'd say it till I'm blue in the face, every spot on the show is meaningful. Every spot on the show it's there for a reason. But again, not everybody believes that. Not everybody see. You know, people have to see things on their own terms for it to finally understand. You know, understand what those people 10 years ago were telling them. So, I can't say I never. You know, the beginning of my career, my first or second year, I definitely wanted to be in better spots than I was. And now looking back, I was just like, man, I was so stupid. I should have just been quiet and listened and everything. And because I was in the right spot, I was where I was supposed to be.
You said everyone wants to be the Undertaker, right? And everyone wants to sort of have that theatrical thing. But I've seen you definitely, you're gunning for that sort of crowd approval. It's probably one of my favorite parts of it. So like, how do you get to the point in your headspace before a match where you can bring that energy to people? Like, what's your routine?
Yeah. I think so. My routine is, you know, I gotta just be alone. I think I found it the best. You know, everyone has to. You know, I've seen guys set up a side of the locker room and just play a bunch of music. I've seen, you know, guys just go sit in their own cars for like an hour or whatever. I gotta be alone, but not alone. Like, I gotta be in my corner of the locker room, going over the things that my character would do in the situation. And then that's kind of how I get in the zone. And I always remind myself that this isn't about me. This isn't about my opponent. This is about the fans. So regardless of, you know, I could hate your guts, I could love you. But at the end of the day, it's not about us. It's about, you know, our fans, the people that came to see us, you know.
It's entertainment.
We actually absolutely. We just did a show the night of WrestleMania Night 1 last Saturday at American Lucha Wrestling. And a lot of the people, you know, online and stuff were just like, man, you guys are crazy running against the WWE. We didn't do it for the WWE. I don't think we're even on the radar of any other, like, not personally, but I think that show wasn't on their scope at all. We did it for the people in Burlington, the people that still decided to come out and support us, regardless of WrestleMania going on. So yeah, we did it for them, and that's kind of what I always say. It's about them, no matter what. Even if it's 55,000 people, it doesn't matter. It's about them.
For the fans in the smaller convention centers, gyms, armories, and stuff, it seems like that's sort of where you're keeping it right now. But
yeah, I mean, with COVID, a lot of things became tougher, and I think it's always harder to connect with a smaller crowd than a large one. So it's, you know, I have a couple friends that do stand-up comedy, and man, they always tell me there's always some guy or somebody who wants to be part of the act, because it's a smaller crowd, you know. So it's the same thing with pro wrestling. The smaller crowds are always harder to keep engaged and keep entertained than the super large crowds. You know, I think they keep each other entertained, and anything they bounce out. The energy bounces off the more people you have. When there's smaller crowds, you have to really be good at what you're doing.
Yeah, they seem like really similar arts to me.
Yeah, stand-up comedy. Yeah.
Yeah, similar types of people.
Yeah,
so you're planning on sort of changing that vibe once you get post-COVID. I imagine you're going to want to go bigger. I think everyone's going to want to go bigger with everything that they do post-COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
But specifically with wrestling, and you say you want to get some bigger crowds to get some more energy and sort of get more of that rush personally.
Pre-COVID, I was working about 180 dates a year, with the smallest crowd being like your 200-300, you know, seater, kind of like amphitheater, community center kind of gig. And then, you know, post-COVID, everyone's with all the restrictions and and just it's not super safe to do 200-300 people. We're not there yet, so I think we all have to be open-minded, and that's why a lot of these events end up being a lot more popular on networks like Fight and Title Match and Independent Wrestling TV and Cheap Pop, because we still want to watch wrestling. We still love wrestling, but if we can do it in the safe space of our own home with the people that are super local that can actually like come to the show and be socially distanced, why not?
Oh, for sure.
Wrestling doesn't have to end because of the the situation that we were in. Now that things are kind of lifting, I think, and I know the guys in Burlington still want to take their time getting back to 300-400 people. We're still turning people away at the door. Like the first time ever, we had to turn people away at the door. And I'm sure this next one we will as well. So
in interviews and podcasts, you said you want to go more of a larger, more mainstream direction. Maybe sign with someone at some point. Has that changed since?
It's definitely It's been the last when I got my little bit of taste of being on the contract. I didn't like it. So and it's not gonna change. So I kind of don't want to go that route. I'd rather be, I don't want to say big fish in a little pond or anything like that, but I've wrestled in front of 3,500 people before. I don't want to per se do that every day, but I also, I'm very lucky to be involved with the guys like American Lucha Wrestling and First Time Ever, places like that, where it's like we're building together and the possibilities are endless when you're building together. When you come in as a star, just like when I'm coming in overseas, they're bringing me in as some established star already, and there's no way for me to help other than just be myself.
Yeah.
Where with American Lucha Wrestling, I'm helping them build something that hopefully sustains my career and hopefully surpasses the numbers of my career. So I'd rather be the guy on the ground floor helping build something than just kind of walking into like a WWE.
Yeah, is that why you're doing more lucha wrestling right now versus more of a WWE style?
Yeah, absolutely. I think American Lucha, I know there's some confusion. Like there's some Mexican Lucha on the show, and then there's a lot of American wrestling on the show. So hence the name American Lucha Wrestling. So I'm more the American American style wrestling, but I've been known to do some lucha style wrestling as well. So I've wrestled in Mexico. I love wrestling in Mexico, and their stars and stuff. So yeah, no, I think it's a good blend of the styles for sure.
Yeah, it seems like a fun time. It seems like you're really enjoying it.
Yeah, definitely. They're great fans. I mean, I have fans there that drive 4 hours to come see me, and I'm just like, I joke with them all the time, like, man, you drive so far, you might as well be part of the show. But no, we have, there's a few fans there that are, it just seems like they won't miss a show, especially when I'm there, and that's kind of what that's what my goal is. That every time I'm there, they feel like there's nothing. It doesn't matter what's on TV. It doesn't matter what's happening locally. We got to go see Franco. So that's kind of what I want to build. And then when I'm 33 now. So when I hopefully not wrestling into my 50s or 60s, when it's time for me to hang up the knee pads and go home, hopefully that brand turns into the next thing that 20 years from now you'll still hear about American Lucha Wrestling.
So American Lucha Wrestling, you're putting a lot of eggs in that basket.
I mean, not all of them. There's also first time. Yeah, there's also First Time Ever. But I feel pretty strong about American Lucha just because the guys are, it's tough. Like I said, it's tough to find a good group of guys that really enjoy just every aspect, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the in between stuff.
Yeah.
They just enjoy it all, and they're just good dudes to everybody, not just the stars. I mean, you'll go to places and you see one guy treated like a king, and then the new guys are just like, yeah, locker rooms over there. No, these guys treat everybody like they're Hulk Hogan. So these guys are dope. These guys are awesome.
That's a great sign for future success. Can't wait to hear more about that in the future.
Definitely.
Yeah, so I pretty much just have one last question. Who do you think is your biggest fan?
Wow, who's
who's your biggest fan?
Biggest fan?
Yeah.
Who is my biggest fan? It depends. I mean, I guess I have big fans all over. I have like fans that still keep in touch with me from like Australia and Japan and the UK. Like I talk to Beverly in the UK at least once a month, all the time. You know, she checked on me multiple times during the lockdown and all that. So I mean, there's fans in Mexico that hit me up all the time. But my biggest fan locally, I mean, you know, there's my thick fellas in Burlington. They know who they are. There's three guys that come sit in the front row. Bose brothers.
Yeah.
Those are big boys, man. Those guys are at every show that I'm at. They're always in their Franco Varga t-shirts and stuff. So I mean, in Burlington, those are definitely like, you know, some of the big fans in Burlington. You know, you got your Michelles out there. There's a bunch of people out there that are just huge fans in Burlington. Beverly in Burlington. I mean, all the American Lucha fans that have become fans of mine. They let me hear it all the time, good or bad. So Burlington is one of those places where they're not afraid to let you know if it was a good show. They're not afraid to let you know if it was a bad show. They're not afraid. So
it's a good
it's a good way to be.
Build your business. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's one of those towns where they're very responsive, whether it's good or bad. They'll let you know. So that's kind of how why I fell in love with Burlington and the people there. It's just like, thanks, we'll try better next time, you know. and all we can do is try. But if you're running in New York City where, you know, there's more casual fans than anything else, you know, you might get it right one night and might not the next. So, but Burlington, I definitely think, is a hardcore town. They definitely love their wrestling. So
you got the diehard fans there, dude. That's a fantastic answer. I thought you were gonna say your family or your grandma or something.
No, my look, man. My mom can't watch. My grandmother, you know, she grew up throwing slippers at the screen, so she can't watch. You know, my time in Puerto Rico, she spent very upset watching me get beat up on TV. So no, so my family does not enjoy it. You know, my dad always is asking me, what's up with the spandex? Why does everyone have to wear spandex? You know, he's so he doesn't really get it as far as why we wear what we wear. You can explain it to him. It's just weird. I think I have fans all over that, you know, they get it and they understand that, you know. And then of course there's always the crazy fan at 4 a.m. at a gas station from somewhere. Saw you once somewhere and wants a picture, and you'll hear stories about, you know, all sorts of people, but I don't think there's a bad Franco Varga story. I always take time to.
Do you get approached by people a lot?
a lot more than I like sometimes, but yeah, I do. It's pretty cool. You know, a lot of people, some people do it for that. I actually am the opposite. I've always, you know, it's kind of awkward being spotted like at Barnes & Noble or somewhere random. You know, so yeah, I think it is weird, but I always take the time. I always make sure I take the time to do it, just because I've seen people not take the time, and I don't really respect that. So I definitely I want that for me. Is I want to be a fan first type of personality. So
definitely seems like you're definitely more of a fan favorite than more of a heel in that aspect. Madman Fulton up next, right? One of them?
Up next. Yeah, definitely one of them. You know, Saturday, that's the big match for Saturday is Madman Fulton and myself. It's another one of those matches that, like, people are just like, man, why couldn't you guys do that in Ohio or Florida or whatever? We're doing it in Burlington because Burlington's next. Burlington's hot right now, you know, so it's
mostly because
we're going to make sure of that.
Partly because of you and the people behind the people behind American Lucha Wrestling and you.
There you go. I don't want to take full credit just because that's not who I am, but I mean, you said it, not me.
Yeah. Okay.
But no, myself and Madman Fulton is another one of those matches that people are just like, man, cannot wait to watch that. So please either come down to Burlington or find it when we release it on the network. But Burlington, American Lucha Wrestling, you know, master required, social distancing, all that. Tickets are definitely super affordable and available. definitely come down to Burlington. And then the next day, that's the one that a lot of people are just like been hooting and hollering for months. First time ever, number 2. You know, everyone saw me got my butt kicked that first time ever, number 1 with Suicide from Impact Wrestling. A match that, man, I think I should have won that match, but it is what it is. A lot of people. That's one of the, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the guy that's been at American Lucha in that area for a long time has said that's one of the few standing ovations he's ever seen in that building. So maybe we can get another one. Myself versus Major League Wrestling star Gino Medina, another just Mexican star, Texas. It's just, the guy's awesome. So that's the following night. Now there's something cool that's happening right now. If you go on firstevertickets.com, you can actually buy a pass, and it gets you into both shows for one price. So it's called the first Lucha Pass or something like that. But it's the Lucha Pass will definitely get you into both shows for the price of one. Now I think the front row and VIP versions of those are all sold out, but you can still get the general admission pass and save some money on both shows.
What was that website again?
firstevertickets.com.
Great. Anything else you want to plug?
Follow me on social media. Everything at Franco Wrestles. I even got a TikTok. I got bored during the lockdown and all that, so I got a TikTok.
I understand.
That one's also at Franco Wrestles. So I kind of keep it simple. And if you can't remember that, go to francovarga.com. It takes you to all my social media platforms. Perfect. In one shot.
All right, great. If that is it, good luck, and check that stuff out.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, no problem.